Welcome to the WLPGA's LPG Talks interview series. Each interview will feature LPG industry leaders and explore current opportunities, trends and developments in the LPG industry. We hope you will enjoy these informative discussions.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Michael Kelly, and you are watching LPG Talks. And I'm very pleased to be joined today by Henry Cubbon, who is the Managing Director of DCC LPG, and he is the outgoing President of the World LPG Association. He's been President for 2 very turbulent years, but they've been very successful. Henry, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Good to see you today, and hope you're keeping well.
Yeah. Well, look, let's kick it off. As I just mentioned, you took over the presidency at quite a difficult time, and you steered this ship through some turbulent waters. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the presidency of WLPGA, and what are the big takeaways for you from your time as president?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fairly turbulent time. I took on the presidency when in Amsterdam at the WLPGA conference, which was a really super conference, and lots of people there and lots of good discussions and debates. And then from Amsterdam, we followed that up with a really successful regional summit in Washington, where we spent a fair bit of time with the leaders of the US industry and with the MPGA and with PERC. And I think it was a really successful event, bringing together the global association alongside the American associations and the American leaders. And I think it's really helpful because we can learn a lot from each other. And then COVID suddenly struck, and it struck, as we all remember, pretty hard and pretty fast. And as president of the WLPGA, you suddenly think, crikey, what's going to happen to this association? How's it going to run, and how's it going to operate? And how's it going to adapt to these challenges? And I have to say that I was just hugely impressed with how the team came together at the WLPGA in Paris, and how they adapted very quickly to the challenges, immediately reflecting on what are the options now for the conference during that year, what are the options for how we're going to work with members, how we're going to do regional summits, and how we're just going to actually function. And I think a lot of that comes down to good teamwork. It comes down to good leadership, and I was really impressed with all of that. So I frankly, besides a little bit of guidance and help and support, it all happened around me with the team, which was fantastic. And I think we've come out of this effectively as a much more dynamic association. I think we're reaching more members because we're now operating a lot more through these kind of webinars and other webinars that we've been running over the last couple of years. These events have been more frequent, so we're able to touch people and reach people more frequently. And members have been able to engage much more actively because they haven't had to travel, and we've embraced this new technology of communication. And I think most importantly, we've been able to address much more quickly some of the really relevant topics that are coming at us. So for example, the COP26 preparation, communicating around the subject. So I think we've come out of it stronger, fitter, and more engaging than ever before.
Wow. Thank you. You mentioned the webinars and the way that we've changed working. How do you see the impact of COVID-19? This disruptive event that's changed all of our lives. How do you see that impact on the industry going forward? What do you think the sort of long-term legacy of COVID-19 is going to be? Say not only on the WLPGA as an institution, but on the LPG industry writ large.
Yeah, I think the impact of COVID has been very significant. I think 3 things. Firstly, it's proven that we are a very effective energy in LPG, and the members who are distributors of LPG have performed extremely well. So, our challenge is to deliver LPG into the remotest areas, and all the way through COVID, the trucks were out there delivering, the filling plants were operating, people sitting at home with laptops, scheduling and routing customers' deliveries, and taking customer orders. So that all worked pretty well, and it's real hats off to all of the people that work in our industry, because they did have to work in difficult conditions with PPE equipment, and with various restrictions on movement. So fantastic proof of our industry. But I think looking forward, I think the other 2 issues that that come out of COVID is, number one, I think energy transition has accelerated as a subject through COVID. I think the world has recognized COVID as a major global challenge. And alongside that has come climate change as a kind of similar kind of level of existential challenge to the globe. And energy transition with COP26 has really come through as something that's not going to go away. If anything, it's going to accelerate. And lastly, digital. We've had to engage much more closely with our customers in a digital way. Just like the WLPGA has been engaging digitally with its members, distributors are now engaging much more closely with their customers in a digital way. And I think we're going to see that increasing as we go forward, and accelerating as a means of building customer intimacy and also becoming more efficient.
Are you actually doing this at a DCC? Do you see this in your company?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more. We've seen the number of internet-based orders going up considerably. People are looking to order from home directly on the internet. We're investing in technology to improve the efficiency of our trucks and our routing systems. Telemetry has been around for quite a long time in our industry, but it's now really getting going. A lot of it's becoming more efficient, more effective, more cost effective. And at the end of the day, our customers who have supply from an LPG supplier want to treat it like natural gas. It's just there always. You don't have to book a delivery. You don't have to ring a supplier. It's just permanently on delivery. And I think that is going to be really important for us as we compete with other energy sources going forward.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that is maybe one of those long-term changes that you were talking about.
Yeah,
so we mentioned
absolutely.
DCC, which is a company on the move. Anyone who follows what's happening in our industry knows this. How do you see what DCC is doing in the context of the larger trends of the global industry? What do you think our audience should be looking for in terms of evolution of our industry over the next 5 to 10 years, say?
I think first and foremost, we need to see LPG as a fantastic fuel and product. And as DCC, we've invested pretty heavily in the industry over the last 10 years. Just in the United States, we've invested over $500 million acquiring LPG businesses there. And we see that LPG is a fantastic fuel for the future. And I think one of our big opportunities is to continue to stress and highlight the benefits of LPG. I think there's a risk we take it for granted, and we shouldn't do that. I think we need to communicate and reassure customers that it's a fuel for the future. And we are seeing in parts of Europe really good opportunities where people consuming oil are switching across to LPG. It's not an easy sell to switch someone from one to the other. You've got to take out the oil equipment and put in the LPG equipment. It requires a fair bit of work, but there's a huge amount of opportunity to continue to do that. And we see big opportunities for growth in that area.
And do you see a larger evolution at a global level? What do you think are the sort of the big global trends that are going to impact our industry?
Well, I think we'll come back to it a bit later and maybe talk a little bit about Dubai. But I think one of the real trends which is continuing is the continued or further penetration of LPG into some of the developing world. But I think the case study of India is a fantastic case study where that market has grown from, I think it's about 12 million tons to 24 million tons a year over a 10-year period. I mean, it's growing at 1 million tons a year because of the government policy to really invest very heavily in the Indian rural community, bringing LPG to rural areas where people traditionally have been using biomass for cooking and heating, and are now using LPG. Fantastic impact on health, lower carbon emissions, and considerations like deforestation as well are taken into account. So I see a lot of opportunity there in the developing world for growth. Africa, again, a good case study in terms of opportunity. I think in the more mature markets, we're going to have to be more responsive to energy transition. We can't get away from that. So I think the areas of growth there are going to have to come from, as I said, switching people from oil to LPG. So being more nimble. We can't just expect people to pick up the phone and say they want to buy some LPG. We've got to get out there and make that happen. And then we've got to develop new biogas offers for customers, and also look at some additional products and services to support our customers through energy transition.
So energy transition and then opportunities in developing countries.
Exactly.
Two big themes for us to think about as we move into a new year and maybe a new era for the LPG industry. Henry, you mentioned Dubai. For those who don't know, LPG Week just ended last week in Dubai. It was extremely successful. The first big world LPG gathering that we've had since 2019 in Amsterdam. What are your takeaways from that, Henry? What are the things that are going to remain with you from that meeting?
Well, I think firstly, congratulations to the team at the WLPGA. So those members who are listening to this, I think it's been a real success, and all the way through COVID, not an easy task to pull off, but you pulled off a fantastic event. So I'd just like to put that on record. It was a super event. I really enjoyed my time there. And I think that the real success that came out of the event was the really high quality of debate that came through. I think the selection of external speakers was really good. You had some good people coming from outside of our industry to talk to us very objectively about energy transition and the challenges that we have there. People from the United Nations, for example, were very challenging, but also very encouraging around our industry. Very high quality of debate, both in the conference, and also there were some good breakout group meetings that took place, which I participated in. And I think also the exhibitors there's a lot of talk about innovation, such like in the conference hall, which I think resonated very much in with the exhibitors in the exhibition hall. So just walking around the exhibition hall afterwards, you could just feel that the need for bringing new products and services and ideas through in terms of digital, in terms of new forms of gas. There's a lot of discussion amongst exhibitors around DME, for example, as a new product. So renewable DME is a subject that came up quite a few times as a potential new source of product for us. I think effectively 3 conclusions coming out of Dubai, back to this point about accelerated development in the developing world. So really exciting opportunities coming out of Africa. The Vice President of Nigeria was incredibly eloquent about the opportunities in Nigeria for LPG. That could become the next India in terms of significant growth. We know East Africa is a good opportunity. We know South Africa, the government there are really encouraging growth. We've got Bangladesh going full speed at the moment. They've just cracked 1 million tons, going up to 1.2 million tons, full investment there and government support. You've got the Indian market again, just still continuing to grow. China, much more support now for LPG in rural communities. Indonesia, I think the whole developing world is a huge opportunity for our industry. I think we also tackled the biogas challenge pretty much head on in Dubai. 1 or 2 speakers saying, actually be careful because there's not a lot of it around. So there's a couple of cold showers I think we all had from a couple of speakers, but then we had real encouragement from others saying, actually don't have courage, get out there and go find the stuff. And I'm pretty optimistic we are going to be able to find renewable propane, renewable DME and other biogases in our industry, but I think we've got to get moving. And I think there was a call to action from our industry to collaborate some more. And I know the WLPGA is looking to already has a working group on the subject and is looking to bring more time and effort to this going forward. But I think you've got an open door with your members because there was a real willingness to collaborate rather than go off on our own, is to work together. And I think just finally, the last challenge coming out of the event was the whole challenge around innovation. Lots of new applications for LPG. The marine story is just fantastic. It just keeps going. But things like, I really like the stuff about microgrids in the US. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was a really interesting project in Chile around developing bio-LPG from green power. And again, just back to the digital story again, we've got to get digitally enabled. I think, and that goes back to the challenge we have as an industry around encouraging young people, encouraging diversity, because it's the young people in our industry and the diversity of our industry which is going to really help us win the digital challenge. Because some of us who are a little bit longer in the tooth and have been around for a long time are not necessarily going to be able to adapt quite so fast as the new generation X, generation Y, and whatever the next generation Z is going to be. They want to be digital, and we need young people. And it's great to see the Youth Council actually fully active in Dubai. And we also, I was very pleased to see the Young Woman of the Year award went to someone from my organization, which was really, really encouraging. It's a real boost to our company to demonstrate the importance of young female people within our organization. So lots of things coming out of Dubai, fantastic events. And again, congratulations to the WLPGA for putting it off. Fantastic.
Thank you, Henry. And you may be long in the tooth, but your enthusiasm and your energy and your optimism is that of a much younger guy. And it's infectious.
Michael, thank you, appreciate that.
And we felt that all throughout your presidency. It's been wonderful having you as our president, again, through very difficult times. And thank you for joining me today on LPG Talks. Let me remind viewers If you didn't get to go to LPG Week, which ended last week, you have an opportunity next year from December 5th to December 9th in New Delhi, where you'll get a firsthand look at this incredible story that Henry was speaking about, a growth of a market which they aspire to reach 30 million tons in the next few years. So it's a really remarkable change that's taken place in India. Henry, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for being a fantastic president to WLPGA.
Thank you, Michael. Real pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. You're watching LPG Talks. I'll see you next time.